In present-day Japan, there is a high school student named Arata Hinohara. He is constantly bullied by a former middle school classmate named Masato Kadawaki who also attends his school. Despite having a loving family and one new friend named Subaru, Arata is unable to escape Masato's bullying and lives in constant fear. One day, while Arata is trying to cope with his miserable life, he overhears Subaru confessing to Masato's gang that his friendship with Arata is not genuine. This revelation crushes Arata, who had truly believed in Subaru's friendship. He feels betrayed and loses all trust in Subaru. In another universe, there is a young boy named Arata who belongs to the Hima clan. His grandmother Makari and childhood friend Kotoha force him to dress like a girl and take part in a succession ceremony. Every 30 years, the Hima clan must present a maiden with the power of Amatsuriki to subdue the Hayagami sword, which holds the divine spirits of their world, in accordance with tradition. But because the clan has not had a maiden for 30 years, Arata must pretend to be one in order to save his people from certain destruction. Arata doesn't take his grandmother Makari's words seriously and thinks of the Hayagami sword as an old and dull weapon. This attitude pains Makari and eventually convinces Arata to prepare for the succession ceremony. Additionally, the current ruler Kakuri is getting old and needs to step down to make way for a new leader who can bring prosperity to the country. Even though he doesn't want to, Arata agrees to take part in the 3-day ceremony with Kotoha until the clan can find a real maiden. As they travel, Kotoha notices that Arata is worried and gives him a lucky charm she received from Kikuri as a token of appreciation. The day of the succession ceremony arrives, and Arata appears before the 12 most trusted Shinsu and Kikuri disguised as a Hima clan maiden. However, before Kikuri can pass her authority to Arata, one of the Shinsu named Kunnagi attacks Kikuri and tries to kill her Hayagami. Although Kikuri manages to protect herself with the remaining power of Amatsuriki, the incident shocks Arata. He protests in front of the other Shinsu, only to discover that Kunnagi was not acting alone in the plot to kill Kikuri. All 12 Shinsu conspire to overthrow Kikuri and rule themselves, and when Arata learns about their plan, Kunnagi tries to kill him. However, Arata manages to escape. Kunnagi accuses Arata of killing Kikuri and declares him a criminal, prompting soldiers to pursue and execute him. Fleeing for his life, Arata runs towards Kendo Forest, unaware of its dangers. The forest has a sinister reputation for consuming anyone who enters it and swapping them with someone from another universe. Once inside, Arata is swapped with his doppelganger from a different world who had wished to disappear after being betrayed by Subaru. In this new world, Arata is confused and disoriented, and before he can make sense of his situation, Kunnagi and his soldiers find him. They attack him with arrows and demand that he surrenders, but Arata is still bewildered. He closes his eyes, and suddenly, he is teleported to another place. Kotoha finds Arata and brings him back to the clan to explain his situation to Makari. Arata was already struggling with bullying and betrayal, but things become even more complicated, leaving him upset. Just as Arata is trying to make sense of everything, Kunnagi arrives and holds Kotoha hostage, demanding that Arata surrenders. But Arata decides to help the people of this new world who believe in him, even though he is not the real Arata. When Arata refuses to surrender, one of Kunnagi's soldiers attacks him. In response, Arata unleashes the power of the old Hayagami, which only the chosen one can wield. However, Kunnagi is not afraid of Hayagami because he believes only the true Hima maiden can use it. Kunnagi attacks Arata with his powerful Hayagami named Anora, unleashing a fierce flame. However, Arata surprises everyone by awakening his family's heritage Hayagami, Tsukuyo, and using its brilliant light to stop Kunnagi's attack. Kunnagi is bewildered by Tsukuyo's power, and the place starts to collapse, allowing Arata and the others to escape. Meanwhile, in the real world, Arata's mother and sister try to reach him, but they cannot get through. Eventually, they stumble upon Arata from the other world, who is lounging shirtless in the open. They are shocked to see him, but they take him home. Meanwhile, Arata and his companions take refuge in a nearby cave and strategize their next move. Arata is bewildered by his newfound divine power, but he realizes that he has been chosen as a show, the one who can wield the power of the gods. Arata becomes despondent, thinking that he is trapped in this ruined world as a criminal, and decides to be alone for some time. Meanwhile, another member of the 12 Shinsu, Akachi, tells Kunnagi that their plan has changed, and now Arata must be convicted publicly. After Akachi leaves, Kunnagi finds someone who knows Arata's location and rushes to capture him. While Arata is sitting by the lake, Kotoha arrives with food and tries to console him. She notices that Arata is not wearing the matching necklace that Kikuri gave him, so she gives him her own necklace and advises him not to lose it again. However, Kannagi appears, holding Makari hostage and forcing Arata to surrender. In the meantime, another member of the 12 Shinsu, Yoronami, tells his assistant Hiriko that the world is about to change. While Kannagi is taking Arata to trial, a beam of light emerges from Arata's necklace and opens a portal to another world. Arata tries to cross the portal but cannot do so. He yells out Arata and demands to know why he killed Kikuri. Arata explains that Kannagi was the one who killed Kikuri while the other members of the 12 Shinsu stood by and did nothing. Hearing this, Arata is shocked and decides to trust Arata. The portal closes, and Arata is taken to trial. Surprisingly, he is not executed but instead exiled to a place called Atoya, also known as the Ultimate Hell. Kannagi is keeping him alive until he can uncover the secret of Tsukuyo. A guard arrives with Kotoha, who has snuck onto the ship and reveals that she will also be sent to Atoya. She shows Arata his school bag and the Hayagami she has secretly brought with her. When Arata tries to use the Kamui, nothing happens, but his necklace glows, and Kikuri's spirit appears before him. She calls him a new Shinho and asks him for a favor. Kikuri explains that she has been using her powers to keep all the wielders of the Hayagami weapons under her control. However, she can no longer control them as she is barely clinging to her body. If the Sho who wields the Hayagami weapons starts using their powers recklessly, the world will be ruled by power, and justice will be lost. She urges Arata to become the ruler of the new world and to bring his Hayagami before her before she dies. Arata refuses, claiming that he is not strong enough to fight. But Kikuri insists, saying that she believes in him and that he is the only one she can trust. After Kikuri leaves, Kotoha encourages Arata, telling him that he is the last hope in this world. Before they are thrown into Atoya, Kotoha explains to Arata how he can hide as a Hayagami within his body as he has become a Sho. Arata and Kotoha arrive at Atoya, where the prisoners already know him for killing Kikuri. They believe that if they kill him, they might escape this hell. Two kids, Kanata and Jinshi, suddenly arrive and attack Arata. Kanata is confident and rushes to attack him, but Arata tries his best to dodge the attacks. However, Kanata somehow manages to cut Arata's hand, and Arata insists that he did not kill Kikuri. Suddenly, the whole place begins to shake, and everyone realizes it is judgment time. They must run for their lives, and the huge pipes in the building begin to move and devour two men instantly. Confused, Arata and Kotoha are approached by a woman named Osama, who reveals that Tsutsuga is the warden of Atoya. As every day, Tsutsuga chooses two criminals among the prisoners and devours them instantly. Meanwhile, all the 12 Shinsu return to their lands, leaving the people scared and uncertain about their future. As judgment time approaches again, the building begins to collapse, causing Kotoha to fall among the huge pipes. Arata is stunned and unable to move but then rushes downstairs to save her. He searches everywhere but cannot find her, feeling hopeless and grieving over his weaknesses. Suddenly, a shadow appears before him and encourages him not to give up because many people believe in him, and he must win. Osama arrives and informs Arata that Kanata has saved Kotoha from judgment time. Meanwhile, Kanata and Jinshi sit with Kotoha, and it's clear that Kanata is interested in her but is hesitant to say anything. When Jinshi goes to get food and doesn't return, Kanata follows and finds him unconscious near Arata. Without hesitation, Kanata attacks Arata until Jinshi wakes up and explains that Arata saved him. Arata takes Jinshi to Kotoha while Kanata goes to fight the men who took Jinshi's ring. During the judgment, Kanata and Jinshi are swallowed by the building. Arata decides to help them, even though he knows he will encounter Tsutsuga, who is also a Sho. Arata follows the pipes to the lower floor, determined to save Kanata and Jinshi. Meanwhile, Tsutsuga had caught both Jinshi and Kanata and held them captive. He made a wicked plan and forced them to fight each other. The winner would be declared innocent and freed, but if they refused to fight, they would be killed on the spot. Jinshi was reluctant to fight, but Kanata started attacking him brutally. Soon, Arata and Kotoha arrived and were stunned to see the brothers battling each other. Arata couldn't bear to watch the brothers hurting each other and tried to intervene. However, Tsutsuga immediately attacked him and warned him not to interfere in his judgment. Finally, Kanata decided to lose on purpose, hoping that his little brother could live freely. The battle ended, but Tsutsuga captured Jinshi, claiming that he judged crime, and Jinshi had just committed murder. As soon as Arata heard about Jinshi's capture, he was filled with rage. He decided to take action and freed Jinshi by cutting the judgment pipes. Meanwhile, Kannagi was also on her way to help Atoya. The battle was fierce, and Arata was exhausted. He started losing hope until he remembered his friends were counting on him. Encouraged by his Hayagami, Arata reawakened his Kamui and shattered Sutsuga's pipes. As he approached Sutsuga, he used his Kamui, and suddenly, the old man's body was revealed. Sutsuga's body was connected to pipes, and one of the Hayagami's weapons had been stabbed in his abdomen. Feeling empathy for the old man's pain, Arata reached for his Hayagami, but he was sucked into Tsutsuga's memories. In those memories, Arata saw Tsutsuga instructing his criminal friend to repent and change his ways. Tsutsuga had faith in his friend, but he betrayed him and stabbed him with his sword. This betrayal transformed Tsutsuga into a demon, and he started locking up all criminals for eternity. Everyone wanted Arata to kill Tsutsuga, but he tried to resist and control his mind. Despite his efforts, he ended up pulling out his demonized sword. Tsutsuga surrendered his spirit and Hayagami to Arata, claiming that he had fulfilled his duty and would now live within his Hayagami. Before Kannagi could arrive at Atoya, Arata and his team left for the capital. Tsutsuga's spirit revealed to Kannagi that Arata's Hayagami was the sword of origin that would rule the world, leaving her stunned. Meanwhile, Arata's family noticed his strange behavior and decided to keep him out of school, thinking that his memories had become jumbled up. On the other hand, Kannagi visited his friend Amisa's grave in his territory called Kagatsuchi. While on their way to the capital, Arata and his team managed to reach a nearby land on their damaged boat. They knew the capital was still far away, but they had to keep moving before it was too late. Following the smoke from a bonfire, they stumbled upon some villagers who were heading towards the borderlands. Jinshi recognized some people from his village and rushed over to them. He was overjoyed when he saw his mother among them and hugged her tightly. While talking with one of the villagers, Arata learned that a war between the 12 Shinsu might break out after Kikuri's fall. As only one person could rule over the country, the most powerful show of all would become the great king and rule over the entire land. Jinshi and his family left for the borderlands through a path that only opened once a month behind a waterfall. As the path opened, Jinshi held Kotoha's hand and tried to enter the cave, but Kanana stopped and told Jinshi to take care of his mother. Arata was feeling down, watching the brothers part ways, so he accompanied Jinshi on their journey to Central. On their way, they encountered a wild animal, Muru, and met a little girl named Ami. However, due to exhaustion, Arata became unconscious and fell to the ground. Arata was taken to Ohika's house, who turned out to be Kannagi's friend and a servant of the 12 Shinsu house. Suddenly, Ohika arrived, holding his Hayagami called Canary, which had the power of forging. Ohika knew that Arata was a show, but he didn't seem to know that Kannagi was after him. Meanwhile, Kannagi left for Ohika's village right away. Even though Ohika was also a show, he refused to participate in the upcoming war. He was content living among his people and family. Ohika also revealed that one could become the great king without killing if all the shows submitted to one person, just like how Tsutsuga had told Arata. Later, while Arata and the others were being instructed to leave the village, Akachi visited Ohika. The group decided to stay and eavesdrop on their conversation. Akachi revealed how Kannagi had killed Kikuri but had falsely accused Arata of treason. Akachi offered Ohika the chance to become his subordinate, but Ohika refused, stating that he had already pledged his allegiance to Kannagi and was willing to face the consequences. This angered Akachi, who then used his Hayagami to capture Ohika's wife, Fu, and force Ohika to submit himself and his Hayagami to Akachi. After Ohika submitted, Akachi mercilessly killed his servants and his wife. Before he could attack Arata, Kannagi suddenly appeared and engaged him in battle. Kannagi used all his powers, but he was no match for Akachi. The battle raged on, but Kannagi was unable to defeat Akachi, who revealed that Kannagi had betrayed him first by killing his half-sister Amisu. In the end, Akachi took Kannagi's Hayagami but spared his life, giving him a chance to submit to him. On the other hand, in the real world, Arata enrolled in school under his real name and confronted Masato. Later, Masato tried to bully Arata, thinking he was weak, but Arata fought back and easily defeated him. Meanwhile, Kannagi attacked Arata and tried to steal his Hayagami. As he was about to kill Arata, Kotoha approached, but the flame of Hamura surrounded her, forcing Arata to come to her aid. Seeing this, Kannagi remembered his friend Amisu, who had died in that same flame. He couldn't bear to stand there and jumped to save them, despite his severe shoulder wound causing him intense pain. In a flashback, we saw Kannagi and Emisa trying to escape from revolting servants with Akachi's help. Kannagi and Emisa managed to get away while Akachi stayed behind to fight. They settled in Kagetsuchi, but everything changed when Kannagi fell severely ill. Emisa went to search for medicinal herbs but died in the flame of Hamura. Kannagi was then chosen as its show. Arata offered Kannagi the chance to join them in their quest to change the world. Meanwhile, the mysterious group of 6 Sho were heading towards the capital. All the 12 Shinsu were involved in Kikuri's assassination, so the mysterious 6 Sho decided to take matters into their own hands. Seeing Kikuri barely clinging to life, they knew they had to deal with Arata and his Tsukuyo. If Kikuri came into contact with Tsukuyo, she would be revived, and they would be in trouble. As they journeyed towards the capital, Arata and Kannagi sparred with each other, with Kannagi analyzing their movements. When it started to rain, they realized they had entered their enemy's territory. The show of the Hayagami of water controlled rain and everything around its domain. Back in the real world, Masato became furious when he remembered how Arata had beaten him in school. He destroyed everything in his room and became even angrier when he saw a picture of him and Arata from middle school. Meanwhile, Arata's mother was worried about him and wanted to talk to him. But as Arata had no parents, he didn't know how to communicate with her. Later, he met Subaru, who apologized for talking badly about him and admitted to being weak. Arata, unaware of Subaru's past behavior, accepted his apology and considered him a friend. In the other world, the 6th Sho arrived at Kando Forest and realized that Arata must have come from another world. To eliminate Arata and his Tsukuyo, Harunoa decided to summon someone who held a strong hatred towards Arata. He opened a door to the other world and summoned Masato. But before their bodies swapped, Harunoa showed Masato everything that had happened to Arata. Later, Harunoa took Masato to a secret location where a powerful Hayagami called Kaldaroki was sealed. Kaldaroki was the only Hayagami capable of defeating Arata. Masato directed all his hatred towards Kaldaroki and became its show. Masato confronted Arata and his group, shocking Arata as he never expected to see him in this world. Masato grabbed his Kaldaroki and attacked the group, but Arata easily blocked the attack and had no intention of fighting back. However, Masato mocked Arata, calling him scum in reality despite wanting to be the great king of this world. This made Arata lose control of his emotions, causing his Hayagami to demonize. He attacked Masato with the demonic powers of Tsukuyo, destroying the mountain. But Masato managed to avoid the damage. Kotoha rushed to Arata and managed to calm him down before Tsukuyo could completely transform. Masato planned to attack again, but Harunoa forced him to withdraw as his Hayagami was not fully awakened. During the fight, Arata dropped his Hayagami, and Kannagi took it and ran away. Later that night, Arata revealed his true identity to Kotoha, explaining how he was summoned to this world and how Masato and his friends used to bully him in school. However, he became depressed and left for the forest. Kannagi returns Arata's Hayagami, saying he can't bear the weight of his mission and responsibility. Arata feels helpless but remembers his memories with Masato and decides to use his powers to change the world. Arata and his gang reach Tamiyori, which is governed by Yoronami, one of the 12 Shinsu. When Arata wants to meet Yoronami, Kannagi takes him to Suzukara of Amor-kuni, which Yoronami governs. Upon entering the town, they find out they have to pay a passage and leaving fee, which means they have to work until their stay is over. As they argue with the gatekeeper, Suehiro, an important person in the government approaches them. Suehiro rounded up some men to work in the quarry while Kotoha headed to the textile workshop. Meanwhile, Shima brought Masato to meet Akachi and Hemiyasu before facing Arata again. Shima wanted Masato to see Akachi's violent rampage against the barbarians, which he was unable to do earlier due to Kikuri's control over the 12 Shinsu's Kamui. After their long day's work, Arata hoped to uncover Yoronami's clue by speaking with Suehiro. Unfortunately, all he learned was that Yoronami was the founder of Suzukara and the mastermind behind its perfection. However, Suzukara was not the utopian city that Arata had imagined. It was a place where people were forced to compete ruthlessly against one another to reach the top. As Arata began to uncover the truth about Suzukara, he grew increasingly worried about Yoronami's leadership. Along with his allies, he made the decision to escape the city before it was too late. In another part of the city, Masato pleaded with Akachi to join him in his fight against Arata, but Akachi refused, deeming him too weak. In a brutal display of power, he even gouged out Masato's eye. Meanwhile, Arata and his companions made their way to the city's gate, only to be confronted by Shinho. To their surprise, Shinho revealed himself to be Hiriko, one of Yoronami's trusted servants. He attempted to stop them from leaving by unleashing his powerful Hayagami, but Arata stood his ground and fought back with his own. This act of defiance earned Shinshu's respect, and he surrendered, pledging to turn against Yoronami and work towards the betterment of the city and its people. He hoped to bring back the old Yoronami, who prioritized the well-being of his citizens over making money. As Yoronami knelt before his mother's water sculpture, he made a solemn vow to make Arata the greatest king of them all to fulfill his mother's desires. With his mastery over water, he took Kotoha hostage, forcing Arata to race towards Tamaranomiya to confront him. As soon as Arata arrived, he was taken aback to see Kotoha trapped within a sphere of water that Yoronami had created. And then, Yoronami himself appeared, offering to free Kotoha in exchange for Arata's submission to him. He was determined to make Arata submit, and take the throne as the greatest king, all to please his mother, who had never been truly appreciated. In a revealing flashback, Akachi gave Masato his own unique eye after gouging out one of his. This act was motivated by Masato's envy towards Arata, and with Akachi's support, Masato set out to battle Arata once more. In the present, Yoronami and Arata engaged in a fierce battle of Hayagami powers. Yoronami used his Kamui to launch attack after attack at Arata, but Arata's Tsukuyo withstood every blow. In a moment of distraction while watching over Kotoha, Arata left himself vulnerable to Yoronami's time reversal technique. Yoronami took advantage of this and trapped Arata within a sphere of water, using his powerful Hayagami. Masato arrived just in time with his Orochi Hayagami to take on Yoronami and save Arata. But Yoronami's time reversal technique ensnared Masato as well, leaving both him and Arata at Yoronami's mercy. Yoronami tried to force Arata to submit to him by showing him illusions of his mother, but Arata was able to break free of the technique by defying his mother's words. With the help of his Hayagami, he set Kotoha free, leaving Yoronami stunned and defeated. After hearing Yoronami speak of his mother's cruel behavior, an old servant steps forward to reveal the truth. Yoronami's mother had been tough on him because she knew he was a kind and gentle soul, and wanted him to become a strong leader after his parents' deaths. When Yoronami opens a box his mother had left him, he is shocked to find a necklace that his mother had made for him as a child. With this newfound understanding of her mother's true intentions, Yoronami apologizes for his past behavior. However, before they can enjoy a happy ending, Masato arrives with a burning rage in his eyes, determined to take down Arata. His wicked thoughts push Arata towards embracing his inner demon and engaging in a battle to the death. But Arata remains steadfast in his efforts to change Masato's ways. The fight between light and dark commences, and Masato's Orochi evolves, putting Arata in a difficult spot. As Arata resists the urge to hate Masato, Masato's Hayagami evolve with envy, attacking Arata relentlessly. Despite Arata's best efforts, he struggles to defend himself against Masato's bullying tactics. Masato revels in Arata's defeat, unleashing the demonic powers of his Orochi, leaving Arata unable to defend himself against the onslaught. As Arata began to lose hope in the fight, his allies' unwavering belief in him sparked a flame of motivation in his heart. He attempted to nullify Orochi's Kamui, but his Hayagami lacked the power to launch a counterattack, leaving him to focus solely on defense. Witnessing Arata's struggle, Yoronami decided to submit to him and offer his power and support. With Yoronami's power at his disposal, Arata was able to neutralize Orochi's Kamui and withstand Masato's attacks. Masato had never imagined that Arata would be able to overcome his fear. In a revealing flashback, it became clear that Masato and Arata had been friends once. However, when Arata deliberately lost to Masato to preserve their friendship, it backfired. Masato misunderstood Arata's intentions, thinking that he pitted him. This misunderstanding led Masato to turn against Arata, and their friendship quickly turned into a one-sided cycle of bullying and animosity. In a bid to eliminate Arata, Masato unleashed Orochi's ultimate Kamui, but Arata countered with Tsukuyo. Arata's faith in others and his determination to make things right proved stronger than Orochi's evil powers. The clash pushed Masato back, causing Tsukuyo to shine like a true king's sword. Arata finally awakened his Hayagami, overcoming his fear of being bullied by Masato. With newfound confidence, Arata launched a counterattack against Masato, easily defeating him for the sake of the people who believed in him. Yoronami followed Arata's lead and submitted to him. The forces of light had triumphed over darkness, but Arata's victory made other Shinzo uneasy. The sixth Sho was afraid of Arata's power, and decided to take him down with their combined strength. To confront the evil and change Masato's heart, Arata would have to embark on a perilous journey through a different world. The moral lesson from this anime is that no matter what universe you're in, always carry a spare Hayagami in your school bag, just in case you get thrown into a toya or have to fight off the 12 Shinsu.